Uh, Today, I want to talk about Ngugi's A River Between. The theme that I have, I intend to concentrate on from this work are colonialism, division, and cultural conflict. Post-colonial writing are marked by a conscious effort on the part of the part of the artist, the writer, or other artists, to highlight the social reality during and after the colonial period. So it has to be to take place during the colonial period. It has to be set in colonial period, and it has to be conscious on part of the artist, the writer, or the painter, or any medium, any type of medium that you use. These works seek to find a connection between social reality and the historical events. Historical event here, I mean, the historical event particularly refers to the colonial period and social reality that is taking place in connection to that and might be affected due to it. A number of Ngugi Wa Thiong's works offer a good example of this approach. Ngugi is a well-known post-colonial writer. He's of African origin and he belongs to Kenya. Was born in 1938. Wrote a number of works on these themes. First, he wrote in English, and later on, he stopped writing in English and and, coded his later works in his native tongue. He tried to lend voice to the subjugated Africans who were tormented under the burden of change and conflict that was brought upon them by the colonial masters. When a people living by a culture, following a religion, and enjoying the natural resources in their land for centuries are suddenly faced with subjugation, they suffer from political, economic, social, and cultural devastation. Ngugi's historical fiction, A River Between, reveals the adverse effects of colonialism on the native Kenyans and shows how this event put the colonized people in the cultural conflict at personal and social level. This is of a thesis. This is type of the basic position that I take in this analysis. Before the onset of colonialism, the atmosphere in the country was smooth. Though the novel was written just after the independence of Kenya from the British, and it was that happened in 1964, and the novel appeared in 1965. It is set in the early 90s. The British had occupied the country and they were advancing to the exploitation of the inner country. And they had not only taken control of the main cities and the capitals, but they have started exploiting its natural resources and coming deeper and deeper into the countryside. The part of the country portrayed in the novel consists of two ridges, separated by Honya River. Now we enter into the basic storyline of the novel, and here we see that there is a river that is Honya River, and there are two sides of their people, tribes who occupied and live in those areas. Depicting the situation in the moment, the author reveals that though the river separated the population, you know, as you continue reading the novel, you find that symbolically the river is there to divide. It divides the population, but in fact, a deeper and penetrating look will reveal that it does not divide the people. Rather, it unites them. How does it unite? The two tribes from either side of the river, they are termed comrades, and they were traditional people who had a whole culture of their own, and it had its particular customs, cultural practices, religious stories, and myths, etc. And these people come together to the to the to the to the to the center, and that is the river. Both sides, they both sides come to it. They find in it their sustenance, and there are a variety of ways they get sustenance from it. However, colonialism disturbed all facets of life. When colonialism struck and established its institution, including a Christian missionary program, educational institutions, offering modern education, and administrative bodies, the local population split. This split is so strong that it finds expression in the life of individual, the society, and the nation as a whole. So every level of human existence is disturbed and is now changed and is split. This conflict is a war between a formidable foreign intruder who has also won agents in the local population and the traditional religion, culture, and values. So there are two kind of people. The one at the one hand there are the local who stick to the tradition, who want their origin, who keep to their origin, and there is a tiny population which has been won over by the foreign powers. It's a war between freedom and oppression. Everyone takes sides, of course. The farmer cohesive forces are weakened, and the people from the two sides of the river become enemies. How do they become enemies? Some of them align with the rulers, and some of them side with the tradition. The Makuyu people, represented solely by Joshua and his followers, embrace Christianity. So here comes the great divide. This implies a total rejection of the indigenous religion, culture, and practices, including female circumcision, another prominent mark of the traditional culture, which serves as the scene of cultural conflict. The second tribe, Kameno, remained committed to the tribal culture and tradition. These traditionalists were led by Chek, father of our hero, and his clan. Therefore, this group represents anti colonial struggle and resistance. They are equipped with strong faith in their traditional religion, unshakable adherence to their cultural tradition, and a messianic figure, Viaki, the protagonist. Cheg, the leader of Kimendo, passes on a crucial prophecy to his son before his demise. He tells his son that there will rise a man in his lineage who will liberate his tribe around the river from the foreign occupants. He decides to send his son to Syriana, that is a mission school, a school set by the Christians, so that the latter could learn his wisdom of the white man. He believes that this knowledge will help him gain insight and learn how the white men progress. He will be able to equip himself with the tools necessary to fight for the tribe. However, Oyayaki must remain at the alert and not to imbibe all the teachings of the white men and adopt them against his traditional religion, culture, and values. Though Vaik joins schools and tries to learn, he was forced out of the institution as the establishment decided to expel those who followed the inhuman custom of female circumcision. Later on, he concentrates all his efforts in setting up self-help education system and becomes the teacher. However, his yearn to unite the people of both sides, his vow to uphold the protect purity of the traditional values, and his love for the daughter of the opponent were exploited by his enemies in his own tribe, and he fails in achieving his goals of uniting the tribes. Among the number of threads that reveal the ongoing conflict caused by the greater historical event of the colonial rule is the story of the hero himself. He is shown as an active resistance who is divided in himself, yet he is intent to free his people from the clutches of foreign occupation. On the other hand, he is torn between his personal preferences and social roles expected of him. For example, his social role demands dissociation from the Christian faction, yet he falls in love with Niambura, the daughter of the opponent leader. Moreover, he is supposed to receive education from the Christian mission school. While these schools would be the weapon of colonialists, moreover, this choice clearly implies acknowledgement of the superiority of the ways and knowledge of the colonial as opposed to the natives. However, Ngugi is trying to make the point that beneficial aspects of the dominant culture could be used and employed for the betterment of the natives. So here we do not have a perfect, consummate, and final negation of colonial everything that comes with it. No. Rather, there is a kind of pick and choose. Yet another example of the havoc wreaked by the new circumstances in the life of the individual in the story of Methoni, the younger daughter of Joshua. This is the leader of the opponent group. His family has become staunch followers of Christianity. Her daughter too acknowledges her affiliation to the new religion. However, she wants to be circumcised like the other village women of her age. Her father would not allow this. Therefore, she rebels against her new religion, her family, and father. Though her father renounces her, she goes to circumcision ceremony in order to attain womanhood. This personal choice by Mathoni proves fatal for her. She dies of the wound, and this leads to a greater event expulsion of all children belonging to the families approving of and upholding this practice. The school administration rules that no child of a pagan would again be allowed into school. The choice made by Masoni and her unfortunate death offers a good example of how different people interpret a fact according to their own ideology. While the Christian factions took her death as a divine punishment upon the rebel, proving the veracity of their claim, the opposing tribe interpreted it as a curse upon Joshua, who abandoned his traditional religion and accepted a foreign one. Moreover, it also reveals the viewpoint of Ngugi and author of the book, who seeks to prove, on the basis of this incident, that good practices from other cultures can be accepted. However, before introducing and imposing a new practice and curbing a previous one, it is necessary to find a perfect alternate with all the cultural and symbolic values provided by the supplanted custom. The symbolic value of circumcision were very important for the women of the culture, and it is wrong to eradicate the practice with a single stroke of pen. Ngugi has set his novel in a historical context, British colonial rule in Kenya. It offers the reader a great insight into the history of conflict and the sufferings of the native at the hand of powerful colonial power. Since history is open to reinterpretation, the post colonial writers would hold, they have all the right to examine it afresh. Therefore, Ngugi too has tried to remodel Kenyan history. The previous history of the country painted another picture, as it was mainly the works of the scholars belonging to the colonial countries. Therefore, a fresh insight into the complex history of colonialism and a challenge to existing representation is warranted. It is a form of resistance, as a scholar from among the natives put his perspective in opposition to the previous fiction woven by the colonialists. It is an example of looking at the and investigating the history of Kenya from below, giving voices to the subaltern who lacked a tongue to speak for themselves. Ngugi's work reveals how colonial rule brought sudden changes in Kenya. Before the British rule, the people of the country were united by common religion, tradition, culture, and rights. Colonialism divided the people. Some of the people embraced the new religion. Christianity disapproved and condemned as barbaric the indigenous beliefs, cultural, and practices, including female circumcision. This negation and suppression of the native culture resulted in a strife and division. The division had profound effects upon individuals as well as society as a whole. Thank you very much.
Quindi penso di essere un po' pericoloso.